Hello and welcome to, well, the first of potentially many slightly pointless videos. Probably seen these kind of things before. Unboxing, random tech, that kind of thing. And I thought a little while ago I should maybe do some of these myself, judging by the amount of crap, old tech and just general stuff that arrives on a weekly basis. Anyway, here you go. First one is this that has arrived today. As you can see, it's an iMac G4, so pretty old, probably 10 years or probably maybe even slightly more. It was a bit of a bargain, I think, but we'll get into that later. Hopefully you can see here that I'm assuming these specs are going to match. They pretty much match what I was expecting. Not that the advert actually gave a great deal of detail. Just one of those things where you know they haven't really got a clue, so you hope for the best. So presumably it's going to be a 1 GHz PowerPC G4. 256 meg of RAM was what it came with standard. I think that's what it's still got, but we'll see. I would guess, to be honest, everything is going to be stock as it was from the factory. And obviously it's boxed, which I think is pretty rare these days. It's not what you'd call a small box. So for someone to keep it for that long seems to be pretty rare. Anyway, I haven't opened it yet, so I'm just going to stop the video, slice the lid open, and we'll attempt to have a look. I'm not particularly great at holding the camera whilst unpacking stuff, I don't imagine, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, so this is actually looking pretty good, quite interesting. As you can see, it's looking like we have pretty much all the original inserts. This piece of card, which is interesting, doesn't actually seem to serve any great purpose, but fair enough, we'll put that down. Yeah, look at this. So, the original mouse. I hate these things because they have no scrolling ability, but never mind, they're just really annoying to use when obviously everybody is used to some kind of scrolling mechanism. Power cable, that's also presumably original, which is quite nice, matches the iMac. That's interesting. It's like some kind of USB cable or something. Huh. Don't remember them saying there was anything else included, but maybe that just got thrown in there with everything else, or maybe it's for something that I'm just completely unaware of. Okay. Nice of them. This is really pretty cool to consider. It's got all of this stuff in there. It's obviously the user's guide, the Panther manual. So that's not too good on my old OS 10 releases. Is that 10.2 or 10.3? I can't remember. That's not this at all. So interesting. License agreements. Proof of purchase for things. They did mention this, that it came with the original receipt, which looks like this is it, from John Lewis, a UK retailer, department store. Let's see what we can see. I'll try not to give away her address or anything if it's on there. Don't think it is. I don't know if that's showing up on the camera because that's really difficult to see. But it says £999, so that's pretty impressive amount of money. And this was, can't quite see. We'll come back to that because it's quite boring looking at that. You can't see it. Okay, more bits and pieces. That I wonder if, yeah, these were probably just included regardless. They're just little spec sheets, aren't they? Apple Care, more warranty stuff, And some discs. That's also interesting because that obviously. Oh, actually, I don't know. Maybe some of these did come with it originally. I think perhaps possibly some of them did. I was reading the other day. Okay, so some kind of encyclopedia or what have you. The classic CD-ROM encyclopedia from back in the day. And iMac install CDs. 3 of those. That's really quite impressive to get all of those original bits and pieces. The keyboard, it's also presumably the original. All of this, I have to say, is in really good condition. It's always a bit of a gamble with things like this, but when people say they've got the original box, then you kind of hope they've taken good care of the whole thing, really, and it looks like this is the case. I'm hoping the iMac is in one piece beneath here. I could hear a little bit of movement with the box, but we'll see. Well, looking good so far. The is it Harman Kardon they're called? Speakers. These I think were only supplied with some of the higher models, and I think they were quite sought after at the time, and they only work apparently with the iMac due to this unusual or slightly different connector, which is interesting. Very nice. Sorry about the mess on the floor. Been having a sort through of things. I can just see there something else they did mention that it came with. OS 10 for dummies. I wonder. Oh yikes! Get a handle on Mac OS 10.1's new dock and revamped Finder. Well, that's interesting. I'm pretty sure this machine was released after. Oh, look at that! And Apple stickers hiding in the middle. Pretty sure this Mac came out or was released or was manufactured after 10.1. I'm pretty sure it shipped with 10.2 at least. But anyway, it's looking like we're in one piece here. I have no idea how to disassemble this. I'll get it out. That seems pretty well locked into place somehow. I wonder if I lift the screen up and round. I haven't actually said, but I originally thought it was going to be a 17-inch model, but because the specs were so thin on the ground. But after looking at it last night on the Wikipedia page for the iMac G4, I was pretty sure it was going to be a 15, which I think it is. Which is a little bit of a shame because I think ultimately, they're going to be useless from a processor performance point of view, really, by today's standards, whichever one you end up with. But a bigger screen really would be useful. I'm not going to bore you with me trying to rip this thing out of here. I'll stop and we'll resume with it sat on the desk, hopefully. And there we are. So, yeah, it seems to be one decent piece. I've just got this lamp, which shame it's not an angle poised lamp really next to the iMac, but I don't know if you can see. I don't think you probably can, but there does seem to be some kind of scuffing. Oh, there you go, on the screen. I hope that wasn't caused by the dummies book that was nicely rattling around inside the box. But well, it's what can you really expect from something of this age? It's looking pretty clean otherwise though. No real problems. Pretty decent condition. I'll spin it round. We'll just have a look at the back. It's really quite heavy and quite sturdy. It's quite impressive. It's a lot heavier than you would imagine. So, won't bore you too much with this, but what have we got? Got an external monitor port, 3 USB, 2 Firewire 400, power, modem, Ethernet, and the audio jacks, including an extra one for the Harman Kardon speakers, and a power button. Okay, so sorry I keep cutting this into small clips, but get interruptions from other people in the house and what have you. So I've plugged it in, got the keyboard and mouse sat there with it. Just interesting actually, you can see what it's sat next to there. It's kind of sandwiched in between a 30-inch cinema display and a 23 there that has also just arrived, another bargain. Right, so I guess we just need to power it up. I can't remember which side the power switch is on, so another shaky bad bit of video whilst I find that. I think it's the other side, I think it's on this side. Yes, let's see if anything actually happens. Oh, that's a pretty decent start. Although, some kind of picture would be... There we go. Okay, well, that's good. I think it's safe to say it's pretty much survived the trip. So, certainly an old edition of OS X. Well, to my untrained eye, that probably looks like Tiger, but it may be that it's actually something quite a bit older. It may just not have changed. Oh yeah, there we go. So I am wrong. It is 10.3.1 as was more or less, I think, specified. I think they grabbed some details from System Profiler. I think it was pretty much those details that I got. So all I got was that it was a PowerPC G4, 1 GHz, 256 megs of RAM, 167 MHz bus, which was sort of useful because they did change the bus speed as they progressed, so it did help. And also the boot ROM version I also got, which was not very useful, obviously. So, yeah. Now that's interesting. So, the weird thing about these G4s is they have 2 RAM slots, one that you can get to relatively easily, one you can't. The one you can't, you have to disassemble half the machine. It's on the sort of top, effectively, of the motherboard, so the RAM chip will be poking up on this side of the motherboard inside. That's a DIMM, a desktop style DIMM, and the other one, which pokes on the other side of the motherboard, so you can get to it by just taking the bottom base off, is I think probably a SODIMM or whatever the equivalent was for these machines. So it's laptop stuff, basically style RAM. So you end up with 2 different pieces of or sizes of memory. I'm hoping the empty one is the one I can get to. Ideally, I'll upgrade both, but I think probably maximum of 2 gig unofficially, 1 gig maximum from what Apple say. But I think it will support 1 gig in both slots, but maybe 1.25 gig will be enough for now. Presuming it's going to have the original 80 gig hard drive. I don't think this thing's going to have been opened at all. Yep. No, it's not going to have any SCSI. It should be USB 2. I don't know if we can, because the original ones weren't. Whether we can, yes, 480 megabits per second. Wasn't sure whether we'd be able to glean that information from here exactly or not. But we can. No airport, which is a bit of a shame, although we'll probably be able to get one of the older airport cards relatively cheaply. Modem, which is about as much use as a cafe on the moon in today's world, so that's pretty useless. It pretty much looks like it's just come out of the box. I wonder if they've just reinstalled the OS, especially. Let's have a look if there's anything unusual at all. Internet Explorer, I'm not sure whether that would have come on there or not by default. Possibly may have done. This is probably before, I don't know. Oops, dropping my phone. So we're going to have presumably a pretty old version of iPhoto. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they've reloaded this, which is a little bit of a shame, I guess, because you do kind of like poking around, looking at stuff that people left on machines, not necessarily their personal information, but apps and what have you, and just kind of getting a feel for how the machine was used. Whereas in this case, I think we're going to be out of luck on that. So yeah, there's a pretty old version of iPhoto. It may even be the original. I think iPhoto was launched not long around the time. Okay, so iPhoto 2, so perhaps it was launched a little bit. Yeah, well of course, because this was not the original iMac G4, this is one of the later models. So yeah, it's going to have a combo drive, not a... Oops, probably snagging on the cable there. Not a super drive, not a DVD writer. It's going to be a DVD reader, stroke CD writer. But hey, who uses them at all really these days? Yeah, I think that is pretty impressive. You can't really see though the marks on the screen. This just works as you'd expect. Presumably it's going to be worth upgrading the OS to, well, as it stands, may not be worth it. Even Tiger, the next version up, probably is going to want a bit more than 256 to run happily. But in theory, if I can get a gig or more in there, so that's the plan, then we should be able to go all the way up to Leopard. And I'm pretty sure this will run it as well as any G4 really. It should be pretty good. Oh, we'll see. It's certainly as good as some of the Mac Mini, the G4s, so it's pretty much the same machine. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the beginnings of this. We'll maybe do the odd video of loading it up with a new OS or whatever. I mean, there's probably other videos out there doing that. So if there is anything you want me to do, you can think of I can do with it, then you can leave a comment, and I'll hopefully be back with some more similar videos of other slightly bizarre old tech. But I'm pretty happy with that, I have to say. I haven't said how much it cost yet. I've been leaving that till the end. It was £30. That's British pounds, so I'd guess that's about $50 US. And I had to arrange the delivery myself because it wasn't eBay. It was Gumtree, which is I guess a version of kind of Craigslist in the US. I think it's UK only. I don't know, but it tends to be more local stuff. But I've been looking on there recently, and especially when people say they've got the boxes, then you can ask if they'll ship it and arrange a courier to collect. So that cost me about 10 quid. So 40 quid. I've pretty much got an as new, almost, I guess, iMac G4. It's got to be the best looking Mac I think that Apple have ever made. Most people agree with that. Certainly when the G5 launched, that don't look too dissimilar to the style of the current iMac, except it was a white polycarbonate one when they first launched. There's nothing really in comparison to this. I mean, I think people were quite disappointed, obviously, when the G5 launched. Why they didn't stay with this, I don't know. I think people would still buy it now. Interestingly, we had a bit of an issue. I live in a block of flats, like an apartment building, and the security on site will take in parcels and things, and they actually took exception to looking after this. Around my girlfriend complaining that they weren't allowed to accept large parcels that were worth lots and lots of money. So they kind of thought that this would probably be around £1,000 worth of iMac, where you would think kind of something would give it away that it wasn't. But that said, I mean, looking at the box, looking at the design, you probably would just think it was somebody bought a second-hand, very expensive computer, and that's just incredible, really. I mean, if we had I know I'm in danger of ranting here now, but if we had a PC from this era, it would probably look like a heap of junk. So, okay, well, I think we'll probably leave it there. Otherwise, everyone will have fallen asleep. So, yeah, if you can think of anything I should do with this, let me know. I think it's probably going to be... It's small enough to probably live on my desk. I could potentially use it as a second screen through VNC, or there's sort of a nice app through OS X that kind of wraps that into something a bit more usable, but still uses VNC, I think, underneath. Other than that, I'm not too sure. Hello, I'm back again. As you can see, I'm installing an update. I think we saw earlier that it's running Panther. I've now
can now correctly christen it. But only, I think it was 10.3.1. It looks like the latest update was 10.3.9. However, software update through the Apple menu, how you generally update your Mac, insists there are no updates, so presumably Apple have stopped actually hosting those through software update. So I've downloaded 10.3.9 combo installer. That's running. You might probably hear in the background, I've got some music. I didn't plug the speakers in when we were up and running earlier. And I have to say they're absolutely amazing. I know I have heard good things about these, but they're really, really, really good. When I had the volume turned up a lot higher, I've got the speakers reasonably far apart there, just sort of plonked on the desk, and I could have sworn the sound was coming from here. So much so that I actually turned the speakers away because I thought maybe the internal speaker in the Mac was also producing sound. They produce an amazing effect. They really are quite well made, and they're extremely heavy actually for the size. You can see there's not much actually in there, just the driver and a big chunk of perspex really. But yeah, obviously I've got the machine hooked up to the internet just through Ethernet. The version of Safari that's on here leaves quite a lot to be desired. It's I think it's Safari 1 possibly. Yeah, 1.1, and it's utterly useless, just as you really would expect any browser of this age to be. I mean, if we attempt something like as bold as apple.com, we'll probably see some pretty epic fails of rendering. Yeah, so you can see the menu bar going. I don't know if that's a CSS issue or what it is, but yeah, I think it is, isn't it? It's the CSS that's not loading. So, pretty useless. I'm not sure what the latest browser you could probably get on there would be. I'll probably check that out, but ultimately I think at least upgrading to Tiger is going to be the way forward. I have to say though, just the great sound quality and just the way this screen just articulates and moves, it's surprising how immersive even this small 15-inch screen can be. The quality of the screen really is really quite good. I'm quite impressed. I can't see any dead pixels or anything like that. I mean, considering that LCD screens really were not the standard when these were released. I suppose this is a couple of years at least after the initial G4 was introduced, but it's really, really good. Shame it is a little bigger. I may look out for a 17, or there is even a 20 out there. But anyway, for just amusement purposes, I guess this will do. Just when I think I've finished this video and done with everything, I had a look at the install CDs, and I presumed because I had things like iPhoto that the previous owners had kind of been through and installed everything for me. But I've now run through the extra software install on the original CDs, and I now have quite a few more apps. iDVD has been installed, which kind of, I don't even think that's changed much really. Well, it has, but it's still a fairly basic app. The other interesting thing is this. Now, I'd kind of forgotten that this existed. I don't think I ever used it. This is AppleWorks. So effectively, they were bundling a full Office suite in here as well. So you can kind of see this is a pretty compelling package, really. You've got all this software for all these things like managing photos and creating movies and burning DVDs, and these are all things that really were not that common in the day. You know, these are in This is when people were still thinking things like desktop publishing were a pretty cool idea. Yeah, here we go. A full Office suite. Whether it was any good, I don't know. Can I create a new spreadsheet, say? Yeah, so I mean, I imagine it's pretty much going to do everything else. I mean, it's pretty much going to be a forerunner to Pages and what have you now on the Mac. Again, I haven't really used those either, but it's quite impressive that used to be included. That was no longer the case. Certainly no longer the case now, and I guess it probably wasn't long after this that stopped. It also looks like there's a couple of game demos. Have I missed anything else interesting further up? I don't think so. I think everything else was more or less already there that we saw earlier. This is from Ambrosia Software, which a lot of people probably remember from back in the day. That logo is very familiar from the 68K Max. So it does seem a bit unusual compared to modern Macs to see game demos and things sort of bundled in. It's kind of one of the things I guess that Apple avoids. I mean, obviously there's no kind of crapware on here, but it's interesting that they did used to bundle these things. This is some kind of like scrolling shooter. I had a quick go earlier, and although I can move around, I can fire, but nothing actually seems to. You can hear the noise, so I'm obviously doing something wrong because I just get killed. Anyway, that's that. Now, there was also one other game demo which I haven't looked at. Let's have a look at this. I haven't looked at this at all. Okay, so I reckon we go high because I think that's the resolution of this screen, and you know it has discrete graphics. Hey, that's not bad. Turn this down. Taking its time to get to the menu screen, or even the title screen, to be honest. Okay, more video. Here we go. So, I mean, even this would have been pretty impressive, I guess. I don't know. It's not that long ago, I suppose. Maybe I'm being a bit far-fetched there, so this would have been impressive, but... Okay, we can get past that. Loading. I guess this was Apple's attempt to say, hey, you know, you can game on a Mac. Although I imagine at this stage there were really probably not very many games around, kind of, you know, the kind of store-bought commercial games. I mean, I guess there'd been quite a few, but...
Sweet, let's go.
I can be almost certainly sure that I'm going to screw this up, but I'll just literally move around for a few seconds or something just so we can see it running. I'm not sure how much hard disk space I've used up with all these pointless demos, but yeah, you see now, not sure if the frame rate was particularly great there. It's not too bad actually. I don't know how you actually escape. Ooh, okay, but you get the idea. It's not too bad. It's working pretty well. Anyway, let's see if we can quit that. There is also the World Book thing, which I did try to use originally, and that's kind of how I clicked that there was definitely something else I needed to install, because it claimed all the files needed were installed, which of course they're not. So we'll give that a go. Try and never get out of this. Come on. Put the disk in there. I'm not entirely sure we need it because it does claim that most of the files, I'm guessing it'd be videos and stuff that aren't on there. Just have a look what else we've got. Sound Studio. Sorry, kind of changing mid go here. Okay, so yeah, kind of sound recording. I don't know if all these are full versions. They do actually appear to be that. That looks like it's licensed. Maybe I kind of that's pretty impressive. I wonder if these are as well. I don't think these necessarily are demos. I guess they could be kind of cut down versions rather than actual demos. Yeah, no, these are all fully licensed as well. That's pretty impressive. So presumably the Tony Hawk thing is as well. I guess that's pretty impressive. Yeah, G3 users out of luck there. But anyway, so it looks like it's actually kind of full software, so it's pretty impressive. Let's have a look at this Worldbook software, because I know nothing about this. I'm only guessing it's some kind of encyclopedia style thing. I certainly remember my friend who had a 68K Performer Mac, obviously a long time before this was released, and he had a lot of these kind of CDs that came with it. It's kind of educational style software. Just looking. Well, is there any way to just like grab a random article or something? History. Media? No. So look. Well, it's kind of interesting. It's a different interface than you'd imagine. Ariel Sharon, fair enough. Go to article. Yeah, so that's kind of what we've got here. It's like a kind of encyclopedia style software before kind of the internet was available. Very bitter that, of course, in my days at school there was no internet really, so I kind of think it's a lot easier for kids these days. You can pretty much find out anything you like within about 5 seconds, probably from their smartphones rather than anything else.
Inaccessible to outsiders. Examples of these structures can still be
Doesn't look like
found
we can
in
make
many
that
parts
video
of Europe,
big.
often on small hills or other elevated landscape
Medieval
features.
castles can only be
This
found in Europe.
elevation allowed those within the castle a clear view of the surrounding
Probably
countryside,
true.
while making it more difficult to attack the castle from the outside. A ditch filled
See
with
if we can
water
find any more
often
interesting
surrounded the
videos.
castle and was known as a moat.
Animals that live in polar regions must withstand extremely cold temperatures.
I can remember playing back in Carter videos in the school library. Obviously a popular child, but you can see this is a similar idea really, isn't it? This seems pretty impressive till you think, well, you know what? This was in what, 2003, something like that. Yeah, if this had been like 1993, this would have been amazing. And it kind of has that feel about it, that kind of early multimedia feel, and really things should have moved on. But it kind of makes you realise that things didn't move on that quickly in those days. Yeah, so I guess that's a look at some of the installed software. The developer tools, that was another thing I could use, but Xcode tools and stuff, probably horrendously out of date and probably not much use. Yeah, cool. So quite a lot of more free software than I thought.
Okay, so thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. I'm hoping to do quite a lot more videos, so hit subscribe if you're interested. I'll definitely do some more if people are interested. Try and do some different tech. I'm thinking maybe one on the cinema displays, the different cinema displays that I have. I've got some interesting storage stuff back here. Down here, got a G5, the Mac Mini that's actually in use for all this stuff. The G5's doing nothing, switched off. Way too much of the stuff to talk about, but anyway, hopefully do some more videos on those. As for the iMac G4, really pleased with that. As I say, any comments, suggestions, thoughts, feel free to comment. Thanks a lot.